I first got my first surgery in 2015 and with complications. Since then, during the day, I'm wearing sunglasses these days because I cannot handle the sun anymore. I'm basically a vampire. You can see it when I'm around here. Every blinder is closed all the time.
Hi and welcome back to another episode of Face Tattoo Talks. My name is Rickismalls and for the past 6 years I've been photographing people with face tattoos. You can check out some of my work on my Instagram, which I will link down below. The past 2 years you may have heard me say something like, this year I also challenged myself to make one video interview for each month of the year. However, in April of last year this little nugget came into our life which kind of drastically changed the amount of time I have to create videos like this. I still had 2 recordings of interviews I already did, one with Rickismalls and one with Justina. Recently I finally found some time to start editing them and I finally came to the point of finishing the one of Rick. Rick is a musician who lives in Groningen in the Netherlands. Rick has had a quite interesting and tumultuous life so far, being the victim of adoption fraud from Sri Lanka in the first place and then being diagnosed with a brain tumor quite early on in life. As these subjects are obviously quite loaded, I will let Rick do the explaining himself. As I mentioned before, I also have recordings of an interview with Justina, which will be my next upcoming video. If you like these types of videos, please feel free to like it, leave a comment, send it to your friends who might also find it interesting, and subscribe if you want to stay up to date about future interviews. So far for the intro, I really hope you enjoy my interview with Rick and see you in the next video. Bye bye.
Hello, my name is Rick. I'm 34 years old, turning 35 in a month. I'm from Sri Lanka. I live in Groningen and I'm very passionate about music. It started at a motorcycle club that one of my buddies used to go to because his dad was a member. And that's how I started getting into these parties because I was around 17, 18, I think, something like around that. He got me into those tattoo parlors as well because they had a tattoo parlor right next to the club. So it was very easy to get my first one. I was 16. It's an ugly one. It's very blown out, but it is what it is. Well, it started as a beatboxer. I was always into music, but I was never supported in it. My dad was always like, there's no money in it or whatever. You gotta start getting a job and just go to work. And I was like, yes, I do want to do that, but I also want to do something I'm passionate about. I'm a creative person, so I cannot do a thing that I'm not passionate about. At some point, they didn't want to support my music lessons or whatever. So I started to use my mouth as an instrument at some point. If I can get a guitar, I will make my own mouth an instrument. So I started beatboxing and from there out I got some local small performances which I really loved, and at some point I drifted away from music, but through my brain tumor it all came back. Funny how things go full circle at some time. Well, I always had sleep paralysis. When I woke up, my body was still asleep and I was soundly awake, but my body wasn't. It was still paralyzed. I couldn't do anything, and that freaked the hell out of me. So when I was a small little boy, I would run to my parents and they were like, he has a bad dream or a nightmare or something like that. But later on, it still kept happening and I told that in the friend group at some point during a drink, and they were looking at me like, that's not normal, my guy, you have to go check that out. And I did that. Nothing came out of it at first. Then my dad died from cancer, and that same year my neurologist called me back and he said like, I don't know why we didn't do that. We only did a CAT scan back then. I also want to do an MRI. And in November 2014, I think, yeah, because my dad died in 2014 February. I got the call from the neurologist. He said to me like, yeah, you need to come over and bring someone. So my mom and I went there, and he told me, yeah, we can see something on the scans, but we don't know what it is. And from there on out, everything was blank for me. I started crying. Everything I thought was possible just was wiped away, was wiped clean. Everything I thought I could was changed. I had to find myself again at some point through all this maze. And I didn't have any handbook or anything for this, so I just went along with it. Yeah. I first got my first surgery in 2015 and with complications. Since then, during the day, I'm wearing sunglasses these days because I cannot handle the sun anymore. I'm basically a vampire. You can see it when I'm around here. Every blinder is closed all the time. I use medical cannabis these days, a lot of it. You've seen it already. It's no joke. It's not something I'd like to do, but something I have to do. And along the way, probably I have developed some form of. I got dependent on it at some point, and it is what it is because I cannot stop with it. My brain tumor cannot be removed. It's in my hippocampus, hypothalamus, and partly stuck to my nervous system, attached to my brainstem as well. So, yeah, they cannot operate on that because if they do, I could get in a wheelchair or it will kill me at some point. Since the operation, I have these conditions. I don't know how to say it in a different way, but I cannot handle the sunlight anymore. My appetite is gone. I have to make that work with the weed. You know, normally you get an appetite from it, so yeah, that's the thing. I went through radiotherapy, and through radiotherapy, my saliva glands are damaged. So I always have something to drink around here. Yeah, not something to drink, but always water or something. Yeah, the water is in the kitchen. Yeah, graag. That's funny because I'm a big series guy as well. There is this series, and it's gonna be very cheesy, I know. The Vampire Diaries. I don't know if you ever heard of it. I was watching it during radiotherapy, and it still gets to me. There is this character that gets the same brain tumor as me at that time, and it's played, I know, but I could not believe that there was someone at that point playing the same thing I was going through, and that made it all come full circle. There is this bench with her name on it. I want to go there as a bucket list thingy, and there's so many music in that series that was so relatable to me that I started writing stuff again on paper. Not really on paper on my mobile, but still. I was working with words again, and I was always a big fan of Wild 'N Out. That's a comedy show based on hip hop and comedy, and through that I started to see the structure of songs, and I thought to myself, I can do this as well. So my first song was about my hairline fading away. So, because I had radiotherapy and I had this big gap here, and here, and I was like, yeah, fuck this. I had this long hair at some point, and yeah, I had to take it all off. It was time. But that was a hard one because I was a model before, a hair model. So my whole identity was gone at some point. So I had to find myself, started writing stuff down again, seeing the structure of music, and thought to myself, I can do this too. And maybe I can get my feelings out because I kept them in so long. You don't know. And nobody ever really saw me. me for me, actually. And that was hard, basically, because I could not be myself around a lot of people, including my own family. Well, this is one when I lost my dad, and this was when I got sick.
The line.
The line, yeah, the little tear line, whatever you want to call it. This is for my brain tumor after the first one. This is a lugubrious one because, you know, cattle always gets branded like from the age they're born, so they know. I have the same basically. I've been branded. Then I have this big ass hat piece, which I was very proud of because this is a Sri Lankan leopard, which is an homage to my home country. This is from anime, but I love the Japanese part in it because it's a kunai and a scythe. And the scythe is where they used to do farmers work with. And
the moon in your forehead?
The moon is from the Crescent City. I'm drawn to New Orleans because of that series. And there is this wolf pack, they're the Crescent Wolves. Well, I'm a part of that, basically. That's how I see myself.
And on your arms, tell me a little bit what you have there.
I've got Dragon Ball, Naruto, and Fairy Tail, and again Dragon Ball. This is an eye from Itachi. I don't know if that says anything to you, but I don't think so. This is Bulma, Lunch, and Master Roshi. This is done with my father's ashes. This is supposed to be him. He knew I was moving to Groningen, so you got the Martini Toren over here. And this is supposed to be the hospital that I was born in, but that hospital never existed. Well, and this is for the letter I wrote to my dad because I spoke at his wake, and this is how he was lying in the coffin, and this cross is around 150 years in our families, so it was laying like that. So I made a photo of that, and yeah, this is a memorial piece, but it was very blown out, as you can see. So I'm not very happy with it. It's what it is. It's a story though. Well, yeah. Turns out my papers had been messed with.
What papers?
My adoption papers. There's this whole scheme from the 60s basically till 2020. Then it all came out, and the government only said, "We're sorry, we're not gonna do this anymore like this." And after a lot of fight, because I was supporting this girl who was taking the whole state to court, and through the higher ups at some point she won. But now, last year, that decision is going to be wiped away, and we're going to be back to square one. I don't feel like an actual human here. I feel like a product. I feel like a product from the grocery store that you buy. But we're not products. We're human beings. We deserve a voice as well, and that's why I'm doing this. That's why I'm making music. That's why I wrote Fight For It. Fight For It is about that adoption fraud. Political song, but I'm proud of it. That's the first song I ever wrote and put it on wax.
Can you tell me a bit more into detail what happened exactly to you?
Well, my papers have been messed with. The hospital that I was supposed to been born in does not exist. When you look at my passport, it's a mess. I cannot understand that my parents did not see that was a fake passport. But yeah, if you see, I don't have those papers anymore. because I've moved so much in the last 10 years. But I had these papers with the actual amount of money they had to pay for me. It's absurd. It was like a receipt. I felt, that's the first time I felt like an actual product. Okay, come on.